again. It's now the 3rd of October, and it is actually my birthday today, which I had hoped to be at home for, but you know, if you get becalmed, you get becalmed. What can you do, right? So it's been a little bit slower journey than I would normally do, of course, crossing the Atlantic like this, but I've been very happy with the boat so far. We have broken one thing, and that is a piece of elastic about 3 feet long between two of the backstays up top, which just basically collects the backstays when the backstay's loose. So touch wood. Oh, there is some. Look, there you go. Touch wood. There's I wonder if that's what that's for. I was looking at that today, like, why is that the only bit of wood on the boat? Maybe it's just for touching like that, you're really worried. It will be about another 2 days until we get there. Like right now is a perfect example. The apparent wind angle is 124 degrees, so the autopilot's driving to that. At 124 apparent, I haven't got true wind because I haven't got the speed sensors working on the boat. You need speed sensors for true, but we can make a guess. It's about like 140, and it's blowing 20 knots at the moment. So 20 knots, just looking up here at the sail crossover chart, 20 knots on the top line, and 130, 140. We should be either on spin 2, A2, or code 5. So with a full main. So as we have just the Solent up and one reef in the main, we are obviously going slow. We're doing 8.5, 9 knots, and I guess I'm okay with that. Like, we're not beating, which half this trip has been beating. I am excited about the performance I've seen from the boat on the beat, because that's what it's all about. That's where we're going to. I just can't wait until we're at a point where we've sorted everything out and we can take it out and power it up and see what's what. But yeah, so what I've been doing today, I've been doing a little bit of rigging work on deck, little things like this elastic here that holds the little porch on, and then this is the remains of where the blocks are attached over there, and that zigzag, and the same on this side. So instead of multiplicities of lashings like this, we just put a soft shackle on, and once that's on there, you're good as gold. What I'll do is this had a lashing around the bottom, and then it had a safety strop, which is some other part of this lot, which then went from the pad eye up through the block and down in case the block was to annihilate itself or the shackle lashing give way at the bottom. I just get another, or make another longer soft shackle and just go through the pad eye and then go through the block. 2 soft shackles done. And this style of doing the elastics on the blocks, I really like that. It holds the blocks forward when you're beating and the blocks are getting dusted along the decks by the water. It holds them in position. These blocks have actually been covered with rubber on the sides. A little bit tricky to see, but they're rubber coated so they don't damage the deck too much. But the long elastic holds them forwards, and then the shorter loop, the bowline, holds them off the deck. So even if the long one was to break, the little one holds them off the deck. And this means that when you've got a kite on and the kite's in light airs and it's thrashing, there's no way the block can hit the deck, which is good for the block, good for the boat, and good for my nerves listening to blocks smashing around all the time. So happy with that. What else have we done? Oh, we rigged the tricing lights. So you see the black and yellow line there that goes up to the backstay. It comes in and then attaches onto the boat here. It's got this little cam cleat that holds it, and this is for like this over here now. When the backstay's not in use, you just want to be able to pull it forward, and I've mentioned this before, it's just tricing them forward, so we can take control of them like that, and then it just locks off there, and it means that, again, things aren't bashing and banging around and making a mess. So yeah, we're in good form. Like, everything needs replacing and there's no problems with anything. It's a kind of weird situation. It speaks to the strength of these materials, and I'll just get out of the wind. It speaks to the strength of the materials that are used in the construction of these lashings, the Vectran and the Dyneema. I would not put it under the kind of load that it was designed for. I wouldn't think that we've approached even 50%. That's been my kind of goal, to keep the the loading's down to about 50%. So we've been nearly 2 reefs ahead of the sail change chart every time. We've been a full sail change ahead of the foresail plan on the sail crossovers, and we haven't put any kites up at all. Whenever possible, I've had both backstays on. I've kept the trim really eased. So it has done what I've asked it to do brilliantly, but I don't want to push it any further. Like, we're going to be in the next 2 or 3 days, and then all it's got to do is hold the mast up as the boat goes ashore, and then that's it. It's done its job, and we can take it off, and it can have a long rest after 13 years up there. That's pretty wild. So yeah, so basically I'm going to get a cup of tea because it's my birthday, and a cup of tea is a good way to celebrate. Maybe text home and see how things are going there. And then hopefully can have some kind of birthday celebration on the day I get in. I don't know what day it is. I was going to say on Friday or on Saturday, but I don't know what day it is. So it's funny, and I've said this before on these, like, time doesn't matter out here. Actually, I was talking to Alan Andrews, the designer of one of my other boats, on the text message, and he said, "Oh, sorry I didn't respond last night. It was midnight when the text came through." I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I really didn't mean to be texting you at midnight. I certainly didn't expect a response." But you know, it's nighttime, it's daytime, it's Wednesday, it's Tuesday, it's weekend, it's not a weekend. Like, none of it makes any difference after a while. It's just like, just on a boat. So yeah, I'm gonna get something to eat. I just realized, like, I had my breakfast or morning meal 12 hours ago, and when we're on the same heading we were on, when I started doing the rigging on deck, the sun was over there, and now it's over there. So I'm guessing that it's getting later in the day. Oh, and I guess the big news is we are now in Canadian waters, which is pretty cool. I'm very excited about that. The Canadian flag is actually furled up over there. So at the moment, I want to make this a Canadian boat. Our other boats are registered in the UK. I will be displaying proudly the Canadian flag. Maybe I'll take it off of there. That was actually for the sponsors when they came and had a look at the boat, because it's a Canadian French kind of conglomerate. It needs taking off there because at the moment it looks like it's my ensign. That's not our ensign. So when we arrive, we can put the Nova Scotia and the Canadian flag on the foredeck and then hoist them up the fore triangle and have them displayed there, and we'll put our proper ensign up. But I'm hoping that very soon the Canadian flag will fly at the back of this boat, and when we go into the next campaign, it will be a Canadian concern, which would be super cool for Canadian sailing and super cool for Lunenburg, which is a place historically where some incredible sailing has been done. The land of, it's literally where the phrase wooden ships and iron men comes from. So maybe we can have, if I can complete this thing I'm talking about, going west around the world, maybe it'll be carbon boats and titanium men or something. I don't know what the comparison would be. Men made of Haribo. That's what I am, pretty much. Although the Haribos run out, which is, I have realized, like, I had those buckets which were the old Haribo buckets that each had a kilo of Haribo in, and I had like spares in them, and I had little screws and stuff, and I had to just put them to one side because every time I opened the tub, it was like Pavlov's reaction, or Pavlovian reaction, like Pavlov's dog. I was salivating at the smell of Haribo. So I've now taken to eating sugar cubes because that's the only sweet thing there is on board. But I realized actually you could have like the sugar cube diet, like anything that's got sugar in for like a month, don't have the thing, but eat the same amount of sugar in sugar cubes to start to teach yourself how many cubes of sugar are in each thing. Because I know that there's 27 grams of sugar in a can of Coke, and I'm not sure how much those sugar cubes I'm eating weigh, but I don't think they weigh very much. I think there's like 4 or 5 of those big ones I've got to each can of Coke, which is a little bit kind of, oh wow, okay, so that's a lot of sugar. So yeah, the sugar cube diet, you can have that for free. There you go. And the other thing I've been realizing, like, I'm not eating many carbs because we kind of got onto this this carb-free diet at the moment. Kathy's been doing, and tell you, when I do eat carbs, and I have got lots of carb-based staples here, man, I get super tired. Like, I'm really noticing it in myself. Like, I feel fine. Like, I have no problem with carbs. I'm not gluten intolerant or anything like that, you know. But man, I get tired. I get like super tired. So that's been a very interesting realization. So just keep compiling these bits of information, and maybe it can be useful. But I realized that you can barely hear what's happening when I walk around the deck with my iPhone with no microphone. So we'll just have a walk around, I'll point at things, and then maybe we can do a voiceover if there's something to say. This was a fantastic day at sea. I was hurting a little bit because I was 2 days out, still away from my family, but look at that, what a fantastic place to be. If you've got to be anywhere on your own for a birthday, this is the place to be. I am still completely in love with this mainsail. Like, I've ever seen it up entirely once, which was, you know, at night when we were putting it up there. But it's awesome. Like, it's only got 28mm fiberglass battens in it, and it's still got a great shape. And, like, you know, another vote for how robust Cuban fiber is. You can see on this sail, you see just to the left of where it says Cypret, just up there, it says Temenos 2003. That sail is 15 years old, and it's amazing. Let's have a see. I do know there's a lot of weed on the bow, so let's have a see how she's doing. So you have to remember that the boat at the moment has got probably 1,000 kilos, like 2,200 pounds of extra gear on board, and I've got 4 spinnakers, which probably between them total about 400 pounds here underneath me, which is not where they're meant to be at all. They should be nothing in terms of weight forward of the baby stay. But then we've got all my dad's tools, we've got every spare sail the boat's got, we've got a lot of stuff. So I'd say she's 1,000 kilos overweight. Plus we've got that flipping mainsail on the side deck, which is, I don't know, 300 pounds on its own. I don't care any bit. It's a beautiful, this is one of the best days we've had out here on the water. We're heading exactly where we want to go. We're doing 250 mile days. It might be 2 days late. You know what? It's not a train. I'd become a train driver if I was worried about that kind of thing. This is what I love about solo sailing, is that the boat starts to become part of who you are, and you start to become part of what the boat is. Every time you put a lashing on something, every time you fix something, every time you learn something. I learned something about the boat today. I very nearly couldn't get the staysail down. There is a picture in that little binder of pictures that we got with the boat, and it shows this block lashed onto this stay. And I thought, man, that's really weird. Like, surely that creates loads of friction. This is a twisting bail on this Tylaska. It shouldn't be. It should be a welded bail. When you have a 2-to-1 halyard like this, if it's got a twisting, turning snap shackle on like this, as it goes up and the twists from the winch, the twists from the blocks are imparted into the halyard, this lot twists up like crazily. And I realized that I browned the staysail up for heavy weather conditions, and it was stuck up there with like 10 twists in it. So I managed to loosen it off. I sailed upwind and put a lot of pressure on it. I jumped up and down on the soft tanks at the bottom, and I got it moving, and then I got it down. And I remembered, oh yeah, if you lash this on, it equally can't twist. Every time you learn something, every time you do something, the boat becomes a little bit more of who you are, and you become a little bit more in tune with the boat. And then whatever you achieve together, you own like completely, you know. And you'll find that when I do these videos, I'm in a real habit of saying, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, because when we do this with a race team, you know, there's me, there's the shore boss, there's the crew that rigged the boat, there's there's a lot of people that are involved in what's going on, but like this right now, this is just me. And this sounds a bit selfish, but I don't see anybody else. And there's nobody else helping me get the boat ready. There's nobody else sailing it, so whatever happens is me. And with a couple hundred miles to go, I'd say we just sailed across the Atlantic, so I can enjoy it.